7:01. Let's rock and roll here. So I'll call the meeting to order once I zoom in enough so I can actually read this. You would think I would have memorized this by now, but
I know.
I
You
have
should get it as a tattoo.
no, I'd have to have my whole back. No,
It's a very long tattoo.
it would be yes, and then you'd read it and see how many misspellings there were. Yeah, no, that's not a plan. Leah, I'm all for it if you do it, but no, it's not my plan. So, all right, so we'll call the meeting to order. Before we get started, let's introduce everyone on this meeting. I'm Sandy Brock. When I call your name, please confirm that you can hear me by verifying that you are present. We'll start with the commissioners. Travis,
I'm here.
Jonathan,
Here.
and Patrick's not here, and Emily.
Here.
Next will be staff, Leah
I'm here.
and Jan.
I'm here.
And then as far as the speakers go, for 3 Leland Street, Amanda, and I'm going to mess up your last name, but Cavalier.
I am here. Cavalieri.
Larry, I
We're close,
prefaced
we're
it.
close.
I try to get names correctly, but if I haven't heard it before, I'm kind of not the best person. Is Craig Johnston also here for you?
I don't know if he's logging into the Zoom. Did he get the panelist invite today?
Jan, do you know if he's on the list, so he must have, right?
Yeah, he got the invite. I can see him as an attendee.
Okay.
Okay. All right. This open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order, as most recently extended on March 29th, 2023. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. This meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If you are using the dial-in by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will invite each commissioner to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After commissioners have spoken, I will allow public comments to be spoken by participants. Participants must use the raise hand feature by clicking the hand icon at the bottom right of the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. If you're using a dial-in by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute when you are called upon. Participants who raise their hand will be recognized one at a time and will be promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by commission and applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside of this purview need to be addressed to appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the select board, and traffic concern must be addressed with the planning board. All right, Leah. So we have a 7:15, but that's being continued, or
No, we have the 7:15, but the continuance from
is
before is
on. Okay.
continuing again.
Okay, so it is 7:05. We cannot start that public hearing till 7:15. Action items. Are there any particular order? Anyone here for these?
You can do the minutes and then we can talk about the McGill COCs.
Okay. So hopefully everyone had a chance to read the minutes. Hopefully that's all set. I didn't have anything. So does anyone have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve the January 9th, 2023 meeting minutes. Actually, it's January 9th, 2024 meeting minutes.
That would be correct. Do I have a second?
Second.
We got a battle for second. I will defer to Jan on who spoke first. Okay.
Emily.
There we go. So we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote for the minutes. Looking up, I see Jonathan up first.
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
and then Travis.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries. All right, Leah.
Okay, so we have a bunch of requests for certificate of compliance for three different houses in Highfields, 84, 97, and 119 McGill Drive. One of them for 84 is a reissue because they misplaced the original before it got to the registry. But in any case, they're all single-family house lots, looking for clearance from the subdivision orders. These ones were not covered by all the stuff we issued last year for phase 1 of the subdivision, so they do need partials because they're still in the active part of the project. The work's done on all those lots. They all have grass growing, and none of the conditions for the subdivision are specific to those lots. So I'm recommending issuing the COCs.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for the information. And can we do them all at once, or do we need to do them individually? Because there's 4.
I think you could all at once, just as long as you list them out, I suppose, or at least the addresses.
Okay, sounds good. So can I have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance and the 1 reissue certificate of compliance for 84 Miguel, and a certificate of compliance for 97, and certificate of compliance for 119?
So motioned. So moved.
Thank you. Yes, so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll do, I will go around very quickly since there's 4 of these to see if anyone has any comments, questions on any of these. Jonathan,
No comments or questions.
Emily,
No comments or questions.
Travis.
I think these are all Highfields, right, Leah? So I'm
Yep.
recusing myself on all things Highfields, I think.
Yep. Yeah, thank you for doing
Yeah.
that. Appreciate that. Max will take your place. And I have no comments or questions, so we'll do a roll call. I'll start with Travis because I know what he's going to say. So Travis.
Recusing myself,
All right. Thank you.
abstaining, one of those.
Recuses would be appropriate. So, Jonathan.
Yes.
Where I'm losing myself. Emily.
Yes.
I am also a yes. And Max is all set with this, but he doesn't get to vote. So motion's been made and the motion carries. Okay. Any other discussion items we can do in 6 minutes?
I actually have a question for Jan. Is the attendee they had their hand up a few minutes ago, is that the 12 High Point Drive?
It is.
Okay. So if you want to promote them in case they have anything to say, and then I can, for the commission, this is the first item under our 48-hour window disclaimer. So we had a request for a certificate of compliance for 12 High Point Drive. They are done short of one thing, which is they have some silt fence that needs to be removed. And I know they were trying to today, but it's frozen to the ground. So this does segue into a larger conversation I do want to have with the commission this evening about how we handle COCs when there are outstanding items. But if you guys are comfortable, you could issue the COC pending confirmation that the silt fence comes out, or if you see another way forward, and we do have the applicant online.
Okay,
If I can
so
speak for a moment.
can you hold on just a moment and let
Sure.
the commission speak, and then we'll let you then speak afterwards. So
I have a little bit more information.
that's fine. I'm actually have something to say ahead of time.
Okay.
So if you could
will
please be
hold.
patient.
Sure.
Okay. So Leah, so as far as, to me, I think if it's a very obvious item, easily verified, I have no problem with approving it pending that, you get an opportunity to, to delegate down to staff, and then we don't have to come back in front of a public hearing. I don't have a problem with doing that. Obviously, we have to judge on just exactly what's outstanding, but something like you can't remove the silt fence because it's frozen is, to me, it would be reasonable to delegate to staff so that we could move this ahead. So just to go around to the commission, just to make sure everyone else is on the same page or the same kind of approach to something like this. Travis, any kind of comments on what I just kind of indicated?
It kind of puts it on town staff to confirm that the silt fence or whatever pending item
Yep.
is actually accomplished?
So it's actually really, it's still with the applicant. They must submit that information and staff is
Okay, so
just,
they don't get it unless they submit that.
right. And then it's just verified. And it could be as
Okay.
simple as photos. I think it still needs to like, it's not like the expectation is staff is going to go out and check. It's more like when the applicant says, yeah, I finally got it out, and they send a photo in, and then it can be confirmed and issued. That to
Then
me
it's
would
issued.
be
Okay, it's not
yeah,
issued and then they'll get around to it and
correct.
send
Yeah.
photos. Okay,
No,
that's
no.
totally
To
fine.
me,
For stuff like this, that's fine.
yeah, it's more delegating to confirming like a specific item, not
Yeah.
like, yeah, we don't, yeah, it, don't really want to put a staff in an uncomfortable position. Needs to be clear. So that's it. Jonathan, any comments or questions on this?
No, I'm looking at how it's written and the comments there, and I didn't have anything to add. It seems straightforward as long as it's what Leah and Jan and what goes by the rules, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
Seemed fine to me.
All right, and Emily.
But just making sure I understand this, so it's no additional burden of work for the staff to do it in this order?
Correct. All we're
Okay.
trying to do is eliminate having to have the applicant come back in front of the commission and have to wait till the next public hearing. And again, this is for, very discrete items. So everything else is done, but they can't do this specific item. It can be verified by photos and communication to staff, and staff can confirm, and then they're just issuing actually it's being withheld and then it gets issued once it's confirmed. It's like a conditional approval. So
Yeah, thank you. Then nothing else from me.
yeah, no, all good questions. We want to make sure that staff isn't taking on any responsibilities that we own, and that they're really just kind of doing the administrative part of it. So that's to be consistent with that. Leah, how does that sound?
I'm okay with it. Like I said, we do need to have a larger conversation about when things are left like this. Because one thing we come up against sometimes is the 21-day clock we're held to.
Gotcha.
So most of the time it works great.
Yep.
Folks are pretty motivated. They tend to have a closing date. They get us what we need and we get them the document. But now and then they don't within 21 days. And where does that leave us?
Okay, so no, that's a good point. So in
And-
issuing, once an order of conditions is voted on, it has 21 days to be issued.
we have to take action on a certificate of compliance request within 21 days.
Okay,
So
so
for this one where the ground is frozen, is it unlikely that the ground will defrost in the 21 days, or is that going to put you in the same?
it could
challenging
happen
spot?
this week. It could happen later this week. So it is weather dependent. I
Yeah.
think what Leah's getting to, which is, within our responsibilities, is to issue certain things in a timely manner. So we don't want to not be able to do that simply because we're trying to make the process easier. So it's one of those things where it's more of a legal question type of thing and procedural. We're trying to do the right
Yeah.
thing. We're
I
trying to
did
do the
put a
right thing,
call.
but we don't want to get caught because we voted on something, but we didn't issue it because, it goes into a deep freeze and it's not thawed until whatever. So
Right.
we want to keep things simple. We don't put anyone into kind of a bad place, and grand scheme of this, as far as the you know erosion control, that is not a major issue, but it's still something that needs to be removed, and it needs to be removed in a timely manner. In this case here, it has to be removed within the 21 days so we can issue it. So Leah, do you have any kind of suggestions on that? I know we've done this before.
Yeah, I mean, we've done quite a few of these before. I'd be curious to hear from the applicant because maybe he was able to remove it this afternoon. I don't know. But we have a couple like this on the agenda tonight that if the commission's comfortable, we could issue pending an item, but then for going forward, like I said, we should have a larger conversation about how we want to go forward. And I did put a call into DEP today, but I did not hear back from them.
Okay.
I didn't intend to fit that whole conversation before the 7:15. I just wanted to take this gentleman who popped online.
Okay. All right. But it's directly related to this
Right.
in a sense. So, and again, I think it's more about the wording of it and less about the overall process. It's because we need to protect the fact issuing it in a timely manner is dependent on that. So, anyways, so the applicant is on the line. If you could, if
I
he's
am,
got,
I am,
uh,
and I know
so
you have the
before, no,
7:15, so I'm
please,
gonna be
please,
really quick.
this is, excuse me, this is a public hearing and there's a process. So the first thing you need to do is please give your name and address for the record. This is being recorded and is all public documents. So
Yeah.
just want to make sure we do the process correctly. So name and address, if you wouldn't mind.
So my name is Irfan Nasrullah. I'm an attorney in Hopkinton at 211 Winter Street in Hopkinton. My office is at 81 Main Street in Hopkinton. I represent Akshay Chavan, sorry, and Purvi Shah, who used to reside at 12 High Point Drive.
All right, please, you
in
have the
Utah.
floor now.
All right, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information. I was out there today. I was able to remove some of the silt fence. It's double layered though, so I got one layer out. The back layer is the one that was frozen to the ground. So it's halfway done. And I was just looking at the Weather Channel and it looks as though it's gonna be above freezing the end of this week and early next week. Unfortunately, I'm going on vacation on tomorrow morning, but I get back Sunday night. So Monday morning, Tuesday morning, I can pull that out and take pictures and send it. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to add. I know you have a 7:15, so I'm done.
All right, no, I appreciate that. That's it helps us to move this along. And so what we'll probably do is move to the public hearing, but I think just that information is important. So what we'll do is as soon as the public hearing is done, we'll get back to this and do a vote and set up the condition for it. So
Okay.
thanks for that information.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. All right, Leah. So let me hit back here. All right, let's go back to the lead sheet. Okay. All right, so we'll do the 7:15 and it's 7:19. Okay. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent for Grafton Stormwater Bylaw permit application for Grafton Wetlands Bylaw permit for the construction of a barn and driveway at 3 Leland Street. And whoever is here to speak to that, please do your presentation.
Great.
And also, sorry, please give your name and address before you do that.
Hi, my name's Amanda Cavalieri. I'm with Gary Aaron Howland. Online tonight to represent the applicant, Craig Johnston. I don't know, I think you had said during the introduction that I cannot share the screen. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. But anything that you've submitted, Jan can bring up for you and she'll just let her know what you want to look at. So,
Yep, I did just send an email. It's probably way too late. I just colored in a plan, so even just the revised plan that was submitted, that's perfectly fine. Just doesn't have the color on it.
I was able to get your colored one up.
Awesome.
so go ahead, Jan.
Excellent. Perfect. So, the applicant's proposing to construct a 36 by 60 detached barn slash storage area. Now, not a barn, as far as animals, livestock, anything like that. It's an accessory structure, on this existing single family house lot. It's about just under 3 acres of land, but as you can see to, the left-hand side of the west of the site is all wetlands. Those were recently flagged and delineated and picked up in the field and added to the plans. So again, they're looking to have a storage area in the back, kind of up the hill a ways, and it's going to be used for boat storage. They have, I think it was about a 14 to 18 foot boat that they wanted to keep out of the weather. elements and in that garage. As well as any personal belongings like lawnmowers and snow blowers, that kind of stuff. So as part of the development of that area, there's a limit of clearing. We have erosion control that's set up outside of the 25-foot no disturb to the west of the site. And then I've added a limit of work on the east of the site in red, just so you can see the extent of the land clearing for the proposed work. Due to the topography out there, there's existing grades that we're going against, so there are some retaining walls that are required to minimize some of that slope area, but they'd be under 4 feet in height. The barn area is just gonna have an electric line that's been added to the plan sheet per the administration review. So we have added that. It will have power, but it will not have any type of plumbing, restrooms, anything like that. The existing facility, or the existing house is serviced by a private septic system, which is down to the southeast of the site, behind the house. Right below that mulched area. We've also added a stockpile area outside of the buffer zone, down to the southeast of the house out in front, during construction to minimize some of the disturbance up there. We did request a waiver for to allow some relief on strict compliance with the stormwater management bylaw. And that was included in the submittal package. Believe the applicant has spoken to the abutters, to his neighbors, just about the project and informed them as far as what's going on, so they are aware of it. We don't know if there's any comments. And for stormwater mitigation, to keep the water, any stormwater runoff from the site, we're proposing slope stabilization as far as, matting and not removing any of the erosion control until construction has been completed. And we have a riprap swale to the southeast of the building in the back, and to the north of that mulch area, just to slow down some of the water from any of the runoff from the hill. We know with the great storms that we've been having lately that stormwater mitigation and is extremely important to protect the resource areas. So, we definitely made sure to have the erosion control out there lined up, and that's about it as far as the project goes.
All right, Leah, want to give your report?
Sure. I had a few notes on the request for waiver from the stormwater bylaw, just so the commission's aware it was triggered for this, due to them having 3,150 cubic yards of proposed disturbance. Our bylaw threshold is 1,000. So this one's for volume, not square footage. She mentioned they are proposing swales for the stormwater, and then I just made some notes on what our bylaw would require under the stormwater bylaw, that we would be missing if we were to grant the waiver, and that would be the stormwater report with the DEP checklist, 90% TSS and 60% TP calculations, pre and post development watershed maps, an operation and maintenance plan, and attempt at LID. They are waiting for their DEP number, so we can't close tonight anyway, and that's all I had right now.
All right, thank you. So let's go around the commission to see what people have for questions. And so just so that I'm clear, so basically what's tripping the local bylaw is the amount of earthwork being done, i.e. the excavation and so forth?
Yes.
Correct, because we're either 40,000 square feet or 1,000 cubic yards.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, that sounds good. So let me go around quickly. I have several questions, but Jonathan, any questions to start off?
No, I didn't have any questions off the bat.
Okay. Travis?
The proposed retaining walls, if you go to like wetland, I think it's well, it's really blurry, A13 maybe on the left side of the screen. It looks like the distance between the no disturb and the edge of the retaining wall. I didn't print this off and measure it. I don't know what that distance is. But it just doesn't look like there's enough space there to actually construct the retaining wall, I guess. Best way to put my question. So the plan shows, I think, an 18-inch straw wattle along that blue dashed line. So I guess, is it really feasible to construct the retaining wall that close to the 25-foot no disturb? I guess that's my question.
Without
think it
going into
gets-
the notice. to it.
Without
Okay, yeah.
actually going into it, like once a contractor gets out there and has to implement the plan, is it feasible? I guess is my question.
So I'll go back to the applicant's representative to explain that.
If I may, through the chair. So as far as that area goes, any of the erosion control, we would have staked out in the field beforehand. There may need to be minor adjustments associated with that retaining wall. If you look at the height of that wall in that area, it's 349.5 is the top of the wall, bottom of the wall is 348, so it's a half a foot. And then the high point is about 4 feet, and then it stays about 4 feet as far as that wall goes. It's probably gonna be a boulder type wall as opposed to a retaining wall, like a machine built wall. So as far as construction goes, it's gonna be moving the material around, and the limit of work will be clearly staked out in the field.
Okay. Do you have a detail for that boulder wall?
There's a
Yeah.
wall detail down on the lower left, I believe, of the plan. So that's anything under 4 feet.
Okay, that's not using boulders. Okay.
No, that's the fieldstone wall. We can provide that since we don't have the DEP number. We can show
Okay.
a sketch of the boulder wall. That's fine.
And Sandy, I was just looking at that 12 inches of compacted fill and the finish grade, and
Yeah.
combined with the wattle, it just didn't look like there's enough space is all.
Right. Yeah. And kind of my questions are, I mean, that looks like an old Mass DOT type of dry fieldstone retaining wall, and you're not showing a parking lot right next to it. I don't know if that would be appropriate for the surcharge on that. I mean, the bigger question, I mean, there's a lot of alternatives, and we don't want to tell you what kind of wall to put in, but that's a fill condition. So, if you use any kind of modular wall or whatever, any of the tiebacks are in towards the pavement and not towards the wetlands. I think like this particular wall or a boulder wall cannot be done vertically, has to be done on a slope or, a banter. So that's why, and again, to your point, Travis, it's just that it's getting really close in that corner. There's a lot of alternatives. So I would say to the applicant's representative, just kind of figure out what works within that limit and use that in that area, that particular area.
Okay.
Any other questions, Travis?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Emily, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. So I have just a few questions. So just like, so this is because you're having, an excess of 1,000 cubic yards of earth moving. Is this a cut site, a fill site? Is there going to be material leaving the site? 3,000 cubic yards is not small. It's not huge, but what is it? Is it about, I guess, what's the balance on the site? I guess is the question.
I do not have that information with me readily available, but I can get that for you.
Okay.
I do realize that it is a cut site.
Yep.
Just not exactly sure on the balance side of things.
So Jan, if you could just slide it up just to see where the large wall, what's the height of the large wall? It doesn't have to,
It's anywhere from, looks like it's all under 4 feet up there.
it's 4 feet, but then you have a sloped wall, a slope behind
Mm,
it, which further has a
3 to
cut on it. So I guess my question would be, where are you going to put the excess fill?
Okay.
And, don't put it within the buffer zone. That's my only suggestion to you at this point. I think the bigger question has to do, you mentioned about some of the storms we're having and putting in some swales and riprap line swale. That's great. You're controlling the flow, but you're also creating a concentrated flow. And if you could zoom in where those swales are, like to see where they discharge to and how close to the wetlands.
So the swale is to the back, the southeast side, east side of the building.
Okay, so yeah, so you got one up on top of the slope.
Yep.
To prevent flow across the slope. Okay, and that's coming around, and where it comes down the slope, what's that slope coming down all the contours? I don't know what the scale of this is. Is it 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 10 to 1?
All 3-to-1 slopes.
So you have, and I don't know what the watershed is above that. So you're taking all of this flow that's doing generally some sort of sheet flow slash concentrated flow over the area into the wetlands. You're concentrating it, and you discharging it onto a slope. So I think, there's a question about how much stormwater you should be doing. If nothing else, we should be somehow leveling it off, spreading it out, and creating something that is closer to what the existing flow is across that. It's my guess it's all vegetated. So, think about what the increase of velocity is when you collect all that stormwater and concentrate it and then point it towards the wetlands, even though it's going to go back through the woods. You're now taking something that's not really that concentrated, and you're concentrating it. The other part is, so it's a 36 by 60. Um, it's basically a large garage.
Mhm.
I don't have any issues with it. There's quite a bit of pavement around it. Again, I don't have any issues with it. In general, I don't, it's their property. They can add this. I don't have a problem with it. It's just now that you're adding, what is the square foot of new impervious that you're adding?
That is on the plan. If you scroll down to the bottom right, I believe, of the plan. So, based on the zoning bylaws, it's building coverage. So we could do a calc for the impervious coverage associated with that. It's a T-base gravel for the driveway,
Okay.
for the proposed addition up there, as opposed to the bituminous concrete.
Okay. Thank you for that information.
Yep.
And
so
I
that is
guess,
on the plan.
yeah, and again, this is a single family home. It is, an oversized garage in the back. Um, and we can have this conversation with the rest of the commission, less worried about, having to say, hey, you have to put in basins and all this other things. It's more about making sure we don't have concentrated point discharges that
Yep.
are going to create problems. That's my biggest concern is the velocity changes in some of these lovely intense short storms that we're having that's creating so many issues. I actually like the fact that you have the swale on the top and you're actually controlling it. It's just when you come around and you started putting on a 3 to 1, you need something at the bottom to slow it down. And
Mm.
I think there's a lot of different mechanisms to do that. Less worry about the swale behind the building that's coming around because that's pretty flat. Do you know what the soils are out there? What kind of soils in general? I'm not looking for specific infiltration. This is an A, B, C, what type of soil? Because it's pretty flat on the back. So you're going to get some infiltration. I'm just
Right.
wondering what the soil is.
I don't have that information off the top of my head either.
Yeah.
For the
And
stormwater.
again,
management.
yeah. And again, I'm not moving towards saying, hey, you have to put all this detention in or anything else. I'm more worried about concentrated flows and the speed and the velocity of that flow when you just hit a part that discharges to the woods and it's only 50 feet to the wetlands.
Yeah.
And that's my concern is protection of the wetlands and erosion getting into the wetlands.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of kind of green infrastructure, LID type of things to slow it down. And that's kind of what I'm thinking of the issues are with this.
Okay.
It's yeah, you're converting a lot of wooded area into granted the building's impervious, even though that you have gravel on the driveway, which is not as impervious as pavement. It's still not the same as a wooded area,
Mhm.
but it's more about velocities and controlling it so we don't have impact to the wetlands, I guess is the big concern. So,
No, we can certainly take a look at that and provide some additional, just even a write-up as far as the information that we've looked at for stormwater control. Both during and, as we're getting closer to the end of it for stabilization.
right,
To make sure that they're not gonna, once they loam and seed any of the areas, that they're not gonna lose, any of it to large rainstorms. We've had that happen on several job sites where contractors have gone in and, put in the dry loam, and then you get a big, huge storm and it washes out. So we want to make sure that that material stays up there. And is monitored while construction is going on until it's stabilized.
and that slope is, I'm guessing, a 3-to-1, the same as what,
Yes.
okay. All right. I mean, those are the general things, that I have. Leah, do you have anything else to add to that?
Nope.
Okay, you gotta wait for DEP and you'll get a bunch of DEP comments based on what they're doing lately. So have fun with that. And we'll expect obviously any comments that DEP makes that you'll have responses for that. But
Yep.
we don't have a DEP number. Let me first just put it out to the public. If anyone has any comments or questions on this particular project, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. What's going to happen next is that we're going to ask the applicant if they want a continuance to either the next meeting or whenever they want to continue it to. Because we do not have the DEP number, we can't close a public hearing without it. It's part of the process. Other than that, do you have anything else to add? And Jan, let me know if there's anyone in the audience that has any questions. Back to the applicant. Do you have any other questions?
Not at this time.
All right, great. I'll go once around the commission to see if they have anything else to add, and then I would go back to Amanda. Are you requesting a continuance?
We'd like to request a continuance to the next public hearing.
All right.
In hopes that we have a DEP number by then.
All right, not a problem. So, Jonathan, anything to add to this?
Nope.
Travis,
comments.
anything to add?
Nothing else.
All right, and Emily, anything?
Nope, thank you.
All right, great. So, having said that, and Jan, anything from? I don't even know if there's already any attendees. So, but
Nothing
nothing.
from the public.
Thank you very much. At this point, the applicant has requested a continuance. Do I have a motion for that? And then when is the next meeting? Yes.
February 6th.
All right. Thank you. Do I have a motion for a continuance?
I'll move to continue the hearing to February 6th for 3 Leland Street.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Second.
The battle of the seconds is still going on. Okay, we have a
Sorry,
motion.
Jen.
We have a motion in a second. So do a roll call vote. Travis, you're up on the screen, so you get to go first.
Yes.
Jonathan
Yes.
and Emily.
yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. All right, Leah, what's up next?
Did you want to resume the conversation we started, or?
Yeah, why don't we do that and we can take care of that. So, all right. So that's going back to, which is the number on it? I'm sorry, I gotta go down.
12 High Point Drive, the first item under the 48-hour window.
Okay, thank you. I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay. So based on that, I think for this particular and based on what the attorney's kind of account is that we should do a motion to approve with the condition that information must be submitted by the applicant to demonstrate the final item to be completed, which is removal of the erosion control. Is that about it, Leah?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion for that?
Oh,
Motion
I'm
for
off
what?
mute.
Sorry.
It's all right.
What are we motioning on to to
Okay, I'm
adjust
sorry.
the
I wasn't very
process?
complete. It's to basically issue the certificate of compliance with the exception of having to have um, uh, the erosion control removed and proof of that erosion control being removed sent to the commission so that the final COC can be issued. So we're approving everything with a condition to say that has to be done before we issue it. So, and we're delegating it to the staff that they can confirm that that particular uh, condition is met and that the erosion control has been removed per the requirements of the COC.
Can I just say so moved to that?
Go for it.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And we'll let Leah kind of figure out all the wording of that as I mumbled along, but I think that is
That's what I was trying to
sufficient.
figure out if I was gonna make a motion. Sandy was like, what are we motioning exactly for? And so,
So
but I
we're
think
voting to approve the COC pending notification of receiving information that shows that the last item, which is the erosion control, has been removed. So
correct, but amending the process. So this is not, that's where I'm getting it. It's the process that we follow or the cadence or whatever, basically.
right. So
Okay.
so basically, yeah. So it's like so everything is fine with this except for that one item. So we're voting on it pending that one item being completed. And
Mhm.
that's based on the attorney's testimony that will be done within the 21 days. We're moving ahead with it. And then I think to Leah's point, she wants to talk about a little bit more on these specific type of circumstances. So
Okay. So moved.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'm going to do, if anyone else have any questions, I'll do a quick roll call just to see if people have other questions so we make sure we're all on the same page. Jonathan, anything else?
No other questions. It makes sense.
Yep. Travis
Nope, I'm good.
and Emily.
I'm good, thank you.
All right. I also. So we have a motion. Do we have a second yet?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Travis, you're on the screen. You get to go first.
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Emily. I think you might be on mute or something else.
Oh.
Emily?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. No problem. No worries. And I am also a yes. The motion carries.
Thank you,
So,
everyone. Appreciate
all right.
your, appreciate you doing that. We'll get it
Yep.
out. Thank you.
Uh,
Have a good night.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Bye.
What's up next, Leah?
Do you want to continue along that same path or go to something different?
Let's continue on that same path. It's going to be the longest thing we talk about.
Okay, so right underneath the one we just did, there's another request for a certificate of compliance. This one's for 26K Circle. Again, everything's all done. All the conditions are satisfied short of one item, which is their no disturb signage needing to be installed.
Yep.
The applicant did install kind of DIY no disturb signage, but I don't find it permanent enough and I doubt you guys would either. So they are obtaining signs from a sign shop. I don't believe they're in place yet. I think he is in the attendees list, if he has anything he wants to add. So again, it was just a question of, is it something we make a conditional vote on? And what the commission's comfort level was with that.
Yeah, and again, it's a single kind of issue that's remaining. There shouldn't be a big issue with obtaining those signage and getting them in, but again, it would be on the applicant to submit evidence that they've been put in and you guys confirm it.
Correct.
So, and it looks like the homeowner is raising their hands, if I'm correct there.
Hello,
Hi, go ahead and please give your name and address and add to whatever you'd like to on this discussion.
my name is Christopher Mulvey. I live at 26K Circle in Grafton. I just want to let you know, I do have an order confirmation from a sign maker in Southborough. They told me that they would be done, should be by the end of next week. And I will have them installed as the day they're done.
Okay.
Photographic evidence, obviously to back that up.
All right, I appreciate that. Again, I'll just do a quick roll call of the commission. Again,
Can
this
I
is
actually cut in
Sure,
for
go ahead.
first? I just also want to talk about the posts that they're gonna go on need to be permanent also.
Okay.
Yes, they are
so-
gonna go on 6-foot metal, like an outdoor
Okay, perfect.
signpost.
Fine with
Okay.
me.
All right, thank you, Leah. Anything else to add to that? Otherwise, I think it's really, it's similar type of circumstance. And again, we'll have a little more further discussion, broader discussion, but for the commission, does everyone feel comfortable with doing a conditional approval, similar to the previous one? Jonathan, any kind of comments or questions?
I have no concerns as long as the conditional approval is documented. I'm good.
All right, Travis
That's fine with me.
and Emily.
No, questions or comments, thank you.
And now we get to ask for another a motion for the conditional approval and the fact that there'll be a condition that the applicant has to submit evidence that the signs have been made, that they've been installed, and that the installation is permanent in nature based on both the material of the signs and the signposts.
That was well said. So moved.
Thank you. And then second.
Second,
Okay, we have motion and a second. Roll call vote. Emily, you're up on the screen, so you go first.
yes.
Okay, Jonathan,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries.
Thank you
Alright,
very
Leah.
much. Have a good night.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if you heard, but uh, my automated thing is actually appreciating that I said thank you. So don't know if you heard that or not.
No,
Okay,
what
Made me laugh.
automated thing?
The Amazon Echo Dot is talking to you or something like that.
that is
Oh.
exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So
Mark
Alexa is
Zuckerberg or the Big Brother's listening or somebody's
yeah,
listening.
so Alexa said, thank you and so forth. So she appreciated my thank you. So, oh, my good luck or whatever. A little bit distracting. So, Leah, so as far as, the process of certificate of compliance requesting going forward,
yep,
want to go
yep.
through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, historically, we have issued a handful of documents pending receipt of something, usually because we're trying to accommodate folks who have a closing coming up.
Yep.
And it's good to have good customer service, but at the same time, most of these people have had these permits for 3 years. We also send letters when they are within 6 months of expiring, so we try to warn as many people as we can when they're gonna need to close out a permit. And so most have plenty of time to satisfy conditions. So this ends up playing out with a lot of folks pushing staff because they have a date they're trying to meet. And I understand that that's stressful, but we have to keep in mind the 21-day clock that we have to issue something within. So there have been a couple of instances where we've taken a conditional vote like this and the applicant has not gotten us what we needed within 21 days, and then staff is left not knowing, are we issuing something, are we not? We usually end up bringing it back to a meeting. I put in a call to DEP to get their take on it. I didn't get a return call today. But I did have a previous conversation with them about incomplete requests for certificate of compliance. It was a little more focused on just the documentation side. So it was more like literally the application wasn't complete, and it was more from an administrative stance rather than a have they satisfied all conditions stance. But the way that we have set the process up now that we take COC requests through OpenGov, the online permitting system, the way we have it set up is it first goes to Jan, she does the administrative review. It doesn't come to me till she's satisfied. Then I
Okay.
do my review for all the conditions and I don't click the button to send it back to her to put it on a meeting till all of my stuff is satisfied. To me, those two reviews, the administrative and the like substance and compliance, if you will. Once those are complete, then I feel like it should go before the commission, because to me, that's then a complete application. I don't know if you have a different understanding of that, or interpretation of that than I do.
No, I don't have any issue with that kind of process. I think it just gets into an issue when someone's having a closing, to exactly what you're saying.
Right.
That's
The-
when it gets pushed
Yes, and it happens quite frequently.
because people don't think about it until they do have a closing.
Right.
So,
And
Um,
I know there's no grand answer and every commission everywhere deals with it. But I just want to make sure we're being, we're providing as good customer service as we can, but still meeting the intent of the regs and
right,
trying to
So-
balance the two things.
right. And I think it's, I think it's to adding to that process. I think as a standard process that should be followed. And if there's an exception to that process, they need to state the reason why. And again, it's just one of those things where people don't think about it and they're scrambling to get last moment because someone discovered there's an open, order of conditions and it needs to be closed. And yes, we send out the reminders and maybe to the bottom of that reminder, maybe we can say, please understand there's a process. It takes the application needs to be administratively approved and then conditions reviewed. That's a minimum of X days to complete that, and just to kind of get people to understand that they can't just show up and get it immediately.
Yeah.
The second part of it is, unfortunately, there'll be a condition where someone is dealing with this and they're going to be pushing very hard. And I think to like what we did today, I think my concern is, just like we ask for a sign off on issuing something like an order of conditions, we've definitely got sign offs to say we have more than the 21 days to issue it. I think maybe doing something that if you're pushing to do that and we're going to do a conditional, then you need to sign this that says, it is an indefinite period based upon when the information is submitted, just to cover ourselves from a process standpoint. As far as
Sorry.
the 21 days. And that would be, to me, is what you need to confirm with the EP.
Okay.
Just like the same standard, how we have a standard thing to,
Yeah.
and if we do this, then the request is to ask the applicant to sign that because it's on them and not us to get that evidence in.
Okay. But I think it's everyone's first preference that just everything be ready before it goes on an agenda when
I think
when
absolutely.
possible.
Yep, I think absolutely. And I'd love to think that would happen every time, but it's still going to get circumstances where someone has forgotten about it and suddenly they're in the middle of a personal thing where they have to sell the house or something. And,
Yep. And I mean, I'm not an attorney and I always preface this statement by saying that. But I have heard on numerous occasions of folks like holding back, I don't know, $1,000 or something.
right,
That gets released once this goes through. So it's not like we're ruining their whole
right. I mean, this is
thing.
we're one part of a very large process of doing stuff like that.
Right.
All we can do is be as proactive as possible, have a process in place, and stick to that process as much as we can.
Okay. I'll let you
This-
know what feedback I get from DEP.
Okay, that'd be great. Is there any other kind of comments or questions on this or suggestions?
So
I was
when we
just-
give them, Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead, Jonathan.
All I was going to say was when we give them the actual information up front, I know this is a 3-year process, but what I've done in business before is when you have a problem closing someone out, you make them sign something up front that makes them acknowledge it. And then if they come back and they're fire and brimstone and everything's terrible and you're evil because you're preventing me from doing this, you're going to say, we told you about this, we let you know this on this date, and now you're making it our problem. Obviously we want to try to be utmost in customer service, but giving them that reminder of, I don't know if there's a sheet of paper up front that says this is how it closes out and this is how much time it approximately takes, or the process that it takes. There may be value in a single PDF that says, as part of that documentation, that says, in order to close it out, this is the normal process and timeline, just so you're aware. Then they've been given the information. So then if they kick and scream and call you and Jan up and yell at you or whatever they do, which is terrible. But all I'm saying is if they call you up and yell at you, you can say, we told you this. We told you this
Right.
multiple times.
That's
Right.
a good idea.
And I think
Yeah.
I agree. That's a good idea. Plus, when we do the reminder, hey, you need to do this because it's running out, we have the same type of the same verbiage in that.
Same PDF or
Right.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
I say PDF, but whatever, same document or whatever.
Okay.
So Travis,
I was just thinking to K circle or whatever that one was. It's gonna be really hard to install a 6-foot T-post within 20 days. Maybe
Right.
the ground will freeze, but I've installed a lot of T-posts. So I guess it just reinforces that it would be ideal if all this stuff was wrapped up before it
Yep.
came here. Yeah, because it's hard to think through all the scenarios where they might not be able to get it done.
Right.
correct. And ultimately, it's still on the applicant to complete it. What I think, what we're trying to do is make sure that they understand it's their responsibility, and
Yeah.
the staff are not evil people because they're doing their job. They're doing their job, and um, we all experience stressed out people and impatient people who may not be the most kind, but we want to minimize that. And the only way to do
Yeah.
that is educate them. And if they still don't understand it, then it's tough, you know.
Yeah. With
So-
the conditional piece, it sounds like it'd be pretty straightforward until he submits the paperwork or the
Correct.
images, then he's not going to get his final pieces of paper documentation. So
Right.
How
they
does,
have they have a stake in it. Sorry, go ahead, Emily.
how does the 21 days work with that?
Oh, that's just it. Is that at times when, so we also have a 21-day to issue order of conditions, and sometimes if it's a very complicated project, it takes a while to create all the conditions, and a lot of times we go back and forth with the applicant on those conditions. Once we close the hearing, they can actually sign, and I don't know if they call it an extension or whatever it is, and allow us to have more time. So to me, we would want them to acknowledge the same thing, is that they're the ones that have to get the information in. And if it's more than the 21 days, they're giving us permission to take as long as it takes because it's information they are submitting.
So it's not 21 days for like that guy to nail in the post.
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid. As Leah said, there's been a couple cases where we've done this kind of conditional approval, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they're not getting the information back to us in 21 days. So we're trying to educate them, but also protect us from
Okay.
kind of the legal process.
So sorry, I'm slow tonight. I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding this. It is still 21 days for him to nail in the post, or
In this
We have
particular
to-
case, yes, they've told
Okay.
us, yes, we're going to do it, and we'll do it in the 21 days. In the grand scheme of things, it only is an issue if someone brings it up. But what we want to do is have the process so that the commission and everyone is clearly understands that 21 days is not enforced when we do a conditional, because we have to receive. I think it would be fair to say it's 21 days after we received the information and everything's deemed complete. That's reasonable, but not waiting around for that information to be submitted.
or maybe when we vote on these things, we can add in an extension in the voting process.
That's kind of what we're thinking of, but that has to be signed by the applicant.
Okay.
Okay, typically that's why Leah is going to talk to DEP for the nitty gritty. I mean, ultimately, if anything gets appealed, it goes to DEP. So we're looking for them to give us the advice on the mechanisms that would work the best. And they do have mechanisms for like order of conditions. I would think they would have the same for this. And again, we're just trying to accommodate people, but also follow the regulations. So. Is that sufficient enough?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so what have we missed as far as other than
The
we did meeting
continuance.
minutes. Did we, huh?
The continuance.
Oh, the continuous. I need to read that in. Okay. All right. Let me get to the right. All right. So the continuance. Let's take care of that. All right. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act of the Grafton Conservation Commission, hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent for the construction of an apartment complex at 116 Upton Street. The applicant has requested a continuance to February 6th. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll move to
Motion-
continue the hearing for 116 Upton Street to February 2nd. No, February 6th.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second,
So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jonathan?
yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
I am also a yes. The motion carries. Okay. What else, Leah?
Well, our two remaining discussion items, I was anticipating people being here for, so unless our last attendee is someone, they are raising their hand. It's not a name I recognize, but do you want to see what they are up to
Certainly.
first?
Yep.
Hi, this is Byron Andrews from Dupree Engineering.
Okay, perfect. So Byron's here for Highfields. So I wanted to have a discussion tonight just to get the commission updated on a few things for Highfields. One was the status of the conservation restriction that we started the conversation about a while ago, on the open space / golf course part of the development. The second item was, we had issued that friendly enforcement order for the conversion of the old manure pit to be wetland replication, and we left that asking for a plan. And the third item is some clearing that's been going on around 30, 34, and 36 Keith Hill Road in the golf course, and kind of how that relates back to the upcoming CR.
So regarding the conservation restriction, we are preparing a plan for the conservation restriction. We actually have a plan already. However, with the issue with the manure pond and another lot that Mr. McGill would like to include in the open space, we are revising that plan. In order to do that, to include the parcel where the pond is, which is presently on Mr. McGill's property, we have to go to the planning board to create that parcel. Once we have that created, and once it's approved by the planning board, then we can come back, then we can update the plan, and then Mr. Napick can finish up the documentation. We anticipate having the plan ready for the planning board probably within a week, and being at the first planning board meeting in February.
All right, Leah, how's that?
So that's fine for the status of the CR, as long as we're still progressing in that direction. I am gonna recommend we do a final walkthrough with Art of the whole thing before we accept the CR to document any encroachments and get them fixed before we accept it.
Okay.
I guess if we skip over the replication for a second and just chat a little bit about the clearing going on at that one particular hole. I know the CR isn't in place now, but one of the things that we did start to discuss months ago in light of the CR would be like what is considered like regular golf course maintenance. And my notes from back then were that the commission had asked, so for the final set of revisions to the language of the conservation restriction, one of the asks of the commission was for the CR to spell out that the flexibility that is allowed for golf course maintenance would apply to areas already cleared to be golf course and not apply to undeveloped woods. That was what the commission had thrown out as, you know, their ask, and then we were waiting for Attorney Knappich to come back with whether that worked or whether he wanted to counter with a different idea. And so in the interim, we now have this instance of clearing previously undeveloped land.
And this is directly related to house lots, or is it?
No, what's to become the open space golf course with the conservation restriction on it. We do have a couple of visuals that Jan can
Okay.
pull up that came through this afternoon. I haven't gone through them in great detail, but it would at least provide, there was an aerial we could look at.
Okay.
Let me know if this is the one you're thinking of.
That's the one. Thank you.
Mm.
So it's the area in red. And Byron, I think in your email this afternoon, you said it had something to do with safety for the whole, the alignment of where people play, something like that.
That's correct. If you look at the aerial, you can see that the golf play area is close to some house lots, and there are two unbuilt house lots where the golf easement and the golf play area is very close to where those lots would be. And Mr. McGill was concerned with the safety of the residents, basically not getting beaten by golf balls. So he wanted to shift the play area further to the right, but that grove of trees would interfere with moving it over. So what he wanted to do was clear out the trees. I talked to him last Thursday or Friday about it, and he wanted me to inform you that if he could remove the trees, clear the stumps, he would lay down sod in that area within 24 to 36 hours. So it would not be an erosion issue.
So I'm just curious, not that I'm a very good golfer, how that's going to alter people playing to the left of that pond. Is it suggested that the pond's going to be adjusted?
I think the play area is going to be adjusted. Like you can see, there's like a sand trap there that's right on the corner of that lot. So I think all that area would be shifted further to the right.
Okay, and is that area going to be planted with trees to try to protect, reduce the amount of balls going in that direction?
I haven't discussed that, but I can ask him that question and get back to you.
Okay, I'm just thinking of where the tee boxes are, and kind of the angle that you would approach that hole, and looking at the distance. You're gonna lay up to the left of that pond, whether you take one or two shots out there. Not that it's more like I don't know how much taking those trees down is going to help the play on this particular hole. That's all.
They're already down.
They're already down. Okay. Scratch that discussion point. um, And so, but as far as like this, the CR is on the golf course itself, correct, Leah?
Yeah, it's like, it's, it's on, basically everything outside of the single family house lot. So some of it's woods, a lot of it's golf course. We were trying to make our way through how we balance those two uses, language wise in the CR in the past. And I know it's not in place yet, but this is one of the things we were concerned about.
Right. And I mean, I understand. I don't know how many trees were actually taken down. There's definitely, it's a bump out. I mean, I think it's, yeah, I mean, I think to your point though, defining a line of the golf course play area versus open space, that still, again, there'll be opportunities to do trimming and those type of things, but not cutting of trees. I guess
Mhm.
that hasn't been established, correct?
Correct, that was one of the last items we gave as feedback,
Okay.
to the attorney, and then we did not see a draft afterwards. I guess I would also ask, are there any other areas where this is going to maybe come up?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I mean, I understand the general reason why it's being done. I'm not sure how successful it is. I'd also be just curious how many trees it is, but I think more importantly, I think it's establishing kind of um, area within the golf course that is kind of open to do any kind of updates and changes to play and that kind of stuff versus kind of more of the vegetated open space that yes you can still maintain and so forth, but it's kind of like a no touch zone, I guess, is the basics I think that we're trying to get to.
Okay, so if the commission doesn't have an issue with this specific spot, that I will continue to look for that language in the next draft of the CR.
And that was kind of my take on it, but so really quickly, Jonathan, any kind of different take on that?
So I don't think we came to a resolution if is that just considered, that sounds like an adjustment, not maintenance to me.
I
That
adjustment to the extent of the golf
how
play
the
area.
game is play correct, but the wording maintenance is what gets me. Is this is where like there there's things growing towards the green that you need to maintain, is the way I would read that. Or am I misconstruing the word maintenance? Is maintenance allowable to just cut trees down to modify the approach to a hole? You know, uh, that doesn't sound like maintenance. That sounds like modification to me.
Right. And that's why I think we were talking about that line that marks the open space versus the golf play area is critical,
Okay.
and that's something that we don't have.
So besides being interested in where that line is compared to, you know, I just wouldn't want this to continue to happen or whatever,
Correct. Yeah, I
especially
think
because it's
that's the
already
answer.
happens, right?
Right.
You know, we don't want this to happen in another area. And is there a result of the vegetation clearing that means that needs to be replicated, like you said, in a different side of
Right.
the course or in a different area? So no other comments. They just, it'd be good to determine that what is
Yes.
maintenance versus what is adjustment. And again, even if it's not, or whatever, I guess it's all related to the CR and to the,
And
okay.
getting it
That's the
defined.
only
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Travis, any kind of additional questions, comments?
Still abstaining.
Okay, thank you for reminding me repeatedly on that. I appreciate that. Emily, any kind of comments or questions?
No comments or questions, thank you.
Yeah, I think Leah, to your point, is we need to get some boundaries down. And so in the CR, determine what is maintenance, what's, and there's who knows what would happen in it. Let's just call an open space of wooded area. If there was some disease, you may want to go in and have to clear and replant trees or something. That's very specific. It's very different to take the golf play area and adjust it and whether it's a perceived safety issue or whatever you want to call it. It's more to protect the residents than it is to protect the open space. And just having that defined sooner than later is really what we need to kind of get done. And I guess we need to try to push this along as much as we can.
Okay. The only other piece I had was just that we were awaiting a plan about the replication.
Okay.
And I think there was a sheet sent over this afternoon. I don't know if it gives the detail on the conversion of that specific spot or if it was more to quantify replication across the subdivision. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of time to check it out.
Gotcha. Okay. Do we have any kind of timetable on this?
I can't remember, to be honest. Let me
Okay.
pull up the document. No, we kind of worded it as soon as possible.
Okay. So I guess we just got to keep being diligent and basically track whatever is happening out there so that when we get to that point, we're not losing any of the open space, as that was kind of critical to what we were doing.
Helpful, one of the drawings that I sent over this afternoon was the plan showing the replication areas, including the pond. If you can't open that, I don't know if there's a way I could share my screen from here.
I believe this is the one you're looking for.
That's correct. So the replication areas, there were 4 replication areas proposed. We designated them on this plan as 1, 2, 3, and 4. The total replication area that was proposed was 13,166 square feet. The replication areas that we designated as 1 and 2 were constructed, and we're showing them as A and B. Replication area C is the pond. If you take the total area of A, B, and C, including the pond, the total area that you have that was either created or will now be included in the conservation plan is 17,367 square feet, which is 32% greater area than was required in the permitting plans.
Okay, so I'm not seeing the plan. The idea was that we needed a plan for how the manure pit was going to be connected to the existing wetland system. So I'm not seeing that. I'm just seeing a quantification of square footage.
Well, what we can do, I must have misunderstood what the purpose of the plan was, but we were actually discussing whether there was a connection to that pond earlier this week, and I can have our wetland specialist go there and examine the outfall area, because there is a specific outfall area from the pond that drains to the wetland, and see if there is a hydrant connection there and if it can be included contiguously with the wetland area around it.
Okay, I mean, let me know the outcome of that, but I know when we were all out there, including Art Allen, he said you needed to achieve connectivity. So, I mean, he didn't trudge through there, you know, in boots and everything, but on first glance, it didn't appear there was. But let me know if your scientist says otherwise, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, I will. I know the area where the connection would be was very heavy brush, because I know our surveyors had difficulty getting in there. So if the connection is there and Art didn't see it, that would be a possible reason why. But we'll investigate it, and I'll get back to you as soon as we have more information.
That's all I had for Highfields, unless you guys have more questions for Byron while he's here.
I think, you know, having a more detailed plan of what that replication is for that pond and how it connects will be important, and maybe just a short description of how it connects and making sure that everyone's on the same page. Um, that's really it. And I think it's just pushing to get this resolved in a timely manner, I think, is the next big thing.
Be able to get our guy out there, I would say within the next week, so we'll have some more information before the next meeting.
All right. Anything else, Leah?
One other discussion item. I had, 62 Wesson Street, which is the Willard Clock. Not the Clock Museum property, but they are the owners of this land. If you guys remember, they wanted to turn some of it into 3 single-family houses. One ended up stormwater bylaw only. The other 2 were wetlands and stormwater. Regardless, the intent at the time and the way it was presented to us and the way we then conditioned it was that a CR or CRs plural would be placed on the back portions of all 3 of these lots, which is easiest to see here in the color version of the plan. So
Okay.
their attorney drafted a CR, sent it to us. I had town council take a look at it. They didn't have any issues with the substance of the document, but they pointed out that the type of document it is would only stand for 30 years. It would not be a conservation restriction held in perpetuity. So town council was saying, you know, if it was the commission's intent for it to be held in perpetuity, this does not meet that requirement. And
Okay.
I believe that was our intent. I wanted to double check with you guys tonight. But I did go back to the applicant, let them know that I believed that was the commission's intent to do a CR that, you know, goes through DCS, gets approval at the state level and the town level, is put in place and is held on the property in perpetuity. Norman Hill came by the office and just asked that we talk it out. But he doesn't appear to be here this evening, but I'll take
So-
any feedback you have that I can relay to him.
I was under the impression that this would be in perpetuity, that this was, you know, to be held in a conservation restriction to be open space permanently. So that was my understanding. If anyone else on the commission has anything different, please let us know. But
That's what I remember too.
Same here.
Me too.
so
Easy
I
enough.
think from our side, it was. I don't ever remember hearing any kind of term on it. It just, pretty straightforward.
Understood.
Is that ever a thing where they say we're gonna place a conservation restriction and we define a term? We say it's gonna be 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? Or are the majority, are 99% of them in perpetuity?
This was the first I ever heard of it, and the way town council worded it to me kind of made it sound like that might be standard practice in other states,
Okay.
but not Massachusetts.
I've always understood if a conservation restriction is given, it's to remain. I mean, that's part of what Article 97 is. And so to me, I know that I see term limits on things like you have permission to use this property for 99 years. That's not a CR, that's just a use type of thing.
Mhm.
But my understanding conservation restriction is forever. That's
I just couldn't think of I don't understand an opportunity where you'd want to put a conservation restriction on something for a set time, like 30 years, and then open it up to, I don't know, I guess development when after 30 years in a day, doesn't really make sense to me, but
Correct. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's circumstances where something like that might happen. I just can't think of one, to be quite honest.
That's all I have.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Uh, so the next meeting is February 6th, correct? And the meeting
Correct.
after that is the 20th.
20th
I will be in Florida.
for the 20th.
Yep. So I will
Okay.
not make that meeting. I'm not calling in. I'm on vacation.
Everybody
I'm gonna-
hurry up and do this so you don't have to be chair.
I'm gonna be in Sweden on the 6th, so I'm gonna miss that meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Cause it's like 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning or something.
Okay. I don't understand that. I'm going someplace warm.
I'm not going by choice, it's work.
Okay. All right. That's acceptable then. That's acceptable. It's still
I'm in
Sweden.
North-
I've only been to one. I've been to Switzerland. I've never been to Sweden. So enjoy, I guess, as much as you can.
I'm in North Carolina the week before and then Sweden that week. I really don't want to go. If someone wants to go for me, I'm off work.
Yep. No, that's okay. I'm fine. I'll go to Florida, the hopefully warm area, and to give myself a break. Although it has been a bad winter. So, but that all sounds good. I just wanted to bring that up to let you know. So,
Thank you.
I think you're done. Like, correct, Leah? You're done.
Yep.
You're done. What else needs to be done?
Oh, okay, I just thought of one quick announcement. The bid docs are live for 95 North Street. So,
Okay.
they're due the 19th, I think.
Okay.
Will
Do you
we
have any
check it?
submissions yet on them?
So it's all been handled through the procurement officer, so I haven't seen them. I'll see them at the end.
Okay. All right. It's just one of those projects you never know how much interest you're going to get. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Don't know,
Right.
but that's okay. All
Leah,
right.
do they have standard bid form? Do they have something that they have to fill out, or do they submit quotations that have details on them?
There's a form, that
It's a
they
standard
have
bid
to
form.
answer the base and then the alternates.
Do we do like a descope process with them where we actually talk through like an interview prior to award, or is it the low bid wins?
Low bid wins. We have a meeting on site on the 31st.
So as long as they meet all the requirements.
Yeah.
The way that procures is low bid. So there are times it gets a little funky, but you cannot go with a low bid, but you have to have a very specific reason. So
I've dealt with all the different ways of procurement. I just wasn't sure which one this one was because I've never done just a strict open space park type area. So
it's public, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's not, see them at risk or anything. So it's low bid. I don't think there's other alternates for quality based on something like this. I don't know, but all right.
good to know.
What's left?
Everyone's favorite motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
We have a motion to adjourn with a second roll call vote. Travis,
Yes.
Jonathan,
yes.